Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good, the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Zach, and we got a fantastic show here today. We're going to be recapping the summer, what the end of summer means, how we celebrate the end of summer in a very special way, and what's next for the buff in the fall. So I can't do this alone. So as always, I'm joined by Rafe. Rafe, how are you doing today?
Zach, I am phenomenal. Absolutely off the charts, wonderful. And I am that way because we have great listeners. And I want to say thank you to all our listeners for being there for us. As usual, you can get to us at Bufnagle at bufnagle.com. We're on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, all sorts of places. Hey, if you are new to this podcast, hey, thanks for coming and welcome aboard. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Okay, just do it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's all good. It's like a win-win-win is what it is. Not a win-win, Zach. It's a win-win-win.
So what it sounds like, it's like, when you get a waffle and you put ice cream on top and they put a little sprinkles. Win-win-win.
Oh yeah, it's like ice cream and waffles and sprinkles together. Just hit the subscribe button and then tell a friend to listen, and you'll get a free episode. And write us a 5-star review, and then send us packages of stuff. And then you know what? Go out into the neighborhood and buy a friend of yours some ice cream. That's how it should go. Zach, I'm great. Summer is essentially over. By the time people hear this, the traditional summer will be over, because when they hear this on Tuesday, the day before that Tuesday will be Labor Day, and the traditional summer will be over.
That is correct. So we're talking about Labor Day, the labor of Hercules. That's what I want to do, but we're not going to dive into that too much.
Is that like an ancient thing? The labor of that's like
he has labors of Hercules.
I don't know what those are.
Wait, are you serious?
I don't. Well, I mean, I've heard that term, but I remember Hercules from the movie with Eddie Murphy with when he played like every member of the Crump family. Hercules.
Yes.
That was quite funny, but no, I don't. The 12 labors of these are things he had to do.
There were 12 labors that Hades. Wait, hang on. No, King Eurystheus, some name I can't pronounce. Some Greek name I can't pronounce. Told Hercules, Greek epic. Hey, I need you to do these 12 things. And
he has to do them in order to like get dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less. And then so there are 12 labors. So the first one is slay the Nemerian lion. So the lion.
Slay the lion. Okay.
So, which is why Hercules is depicted a lot of the times wearing a lion carcass head on his body.
Now I have to say, wearing like not just fur, but like the whole animal is a fashion statement that you know what? I guess I kind of missed that.
Yeah. Okay, so the second one was slay the 9-headed Hydra.
Oh, the Hydra. Now, was that okay? So that's the thing. You have to cut the head off and burn it, so it doesn't because it makes 2 new ones, right?
Yeah. If you cut off one head, 2 more rise.
Okay.
There was the Cererian Hind, which is a mythical creature that Hercules had to do mythical things to. There was
he had to slay all of these things, right?
Yep.
Okay.
There was capture a boar.
Like a pig?
Yep.
Wait. I got to go to this. Okay, so capturing the boar after you've slayed the 9-headed Hydra, that's got to be like that's like a free square in bingo. I mean, at that point, it's like you should just get that one. I mean, it's like you put out a trap, you put some apples in there and have that little, you put a stick on the string, and when he goes in, you pull it, and there you go. I mean, so I got Hercules. I got that one for you.
Okay. It was clean the Argean stables in a single day. So that was a reference to Augeas, who was one of the Argonauts, not the astronauts, the Argonauts.
Argonauts, right. Did you ever see that movie, Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah, I was about to reference that. So
okay,
yeah, so there's that there. So clean the stables, and then was slay the Stymphian birds. There were ferocious birds in Greek mythology that Hercules had to slay. There was capture the Cretan bull.
Okay, wait. I'm picking up on a thing here. Okay, before we go any further on this, I'm hearing that he had to slay a lot of things.
Yes.
Right? And those things aren't around anymore. So I'm assuming he was successful at all this.
I think you might have a good point.
Okay, all right. So he's got to slay the Cretan bull.
Yeah. So and then steal the Mars of Diomedes.
Wait, he has to steal the Mars. The Mars.
No. Mares.
The mares, like the water.
Like horses.
Oh, the mares. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then who attained the girdle of Hippolyta, who was the queen of the Amazons.
He's got to go like a panty raid.
Sure.
Wow. Okay.
You know that's it.
I'm just saying. It's like I've never taken. I was not in a frat, but I heard this was a thing people do. But that's because there's a Greek panty raid. Okay, I got it.
Obtain the cattle of the three-bodied giant. So that he had cattle on his farm, and then he had to go obtain the cattle.
Wait. This is the three-bodied giant, as opposed to like in Monty Python. There's like that three-headed guy that he has to fight. Yes. So this guy's got this one giant that has three bodies.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, this is quite a list.
The girdle is also referenced as the belt, so there's that whole thing going on there.
Okay.
Cattle, and there was the golden apples. There were 3 golden apples.
This sounds like a Matthew Riley book.
It is adapted in the. We can talk about that later.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then the 12th and final one is probably the most famous, and he was supposed to go into the underworld and do what?
He's go to the underworld and release the. I don't know.
He was to capture Cerberus, the guard dog, into the underworld, and in order to do that, what did he do?
He had to get the golden fleece. I don't know.
No, he asked permission from Hades. Hey, can I take your dog? And so
he was
supposed to teach humility. It was a lesson in humility because, yeah. So, anyways, there's 12 labors of Hercules.
How come I don't know this story? How come I don't know this story?
Because you didn't spend all of your time in college reading Greek mythology like your son.
No, so did you have a course in Greek mythology?
No, I got bored.
Okay. All right. No, I got bored too, and I read the Articles of Confederation. So, I mean, it's all even. So, okay. Wow. Because we saw Jason and the Argonauts like in middle school. It was a movie we watched in one of our history classes. And this was like a classic movie from the 50s or the 60s. You've seen that, right?
Yep.
And then we also saw like Revenge of the Pharaohs, some of these other movies from that time frame when that was our that was our ancient civilizations unit was watching a movie called Jason and the Argonauts or Jason and the Golden Fleece or whatever. And the Golden Fleece is just a fleece from a lamb that's golden.
Yeah, Greek mythology, man. Oh.
See, and this is where I'm getting a lot of these things because my general feeling on when I hear stories like you just told me, like the labors of Hercules, I think of that and I just go, this was just wacky, right? And then that's my perception of Greece. But we've been doing this podcast for 2 years and we spent a lot of time. We have spent a lot of time in ancient Greece, and we've come to the conclusion that all roads lead to Rome, and in Rome all roads lead to Greece. And so I'm a big Greece fan now.
That's a different thing. Because, all roads in Egypt lead to Greek because some of the most famous Egyptians were Greek. Anyways.
We're Greek. Yeah, so I have these two conflicting pieces about the Greek now. And what you did is you resurrected this perception of Greek stories as just like wacky stuff. But they probably all similar, like you said, you have to just go ask the devil, can I have your dog? Right? And that's how you get the dog.
It's a lesson in humility there.
All right.
Additionally, the 12 labors in the Hercules movie by Disney is shown in through one of the songs there. They do like kind of a montage of the 12 labors.
All
There's a
right. So
hydra, there's a boar, there's a lion, there's all the things show up.
have you seen the Hercules movie with
I
Disney?
have. It's been a while.
But was it any good, or was it like
It's
really?
a
Because
Disney movie, and there's singing, and there's Hercules.
all right, I suppose that's all right. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. It
All
was from
right.
like '98. I don't know.
Well, and then the classic Disney fashion, he killed all those in like 2 minutes and 35 seconds, right?
Yep.
Because it's okay, and he gets that stuff. Well, that's quite a that's
The
a lot
labors
of
of
labors.
Hercules. There we go.
And so he got them. He got done,
Yep.
and then because of that, he gets like what keys to the city, or he just doesn't get killed, or he or does.
Megana and his children were returned to him. So it was kind of a payment to like
Oh, a payback. Yeah. Okay. So he got his kids back.
Yeah.
So if somebody took you, I'd have to do the same thing. Is what
Yeah.
like that? That's what you do if you're a good dad. Yeah. Okay.
Something like
Well,
that. There's,
let's just
there's
hope.
obviously more to that, but that's just the simplest version. The 12
No,
labors
that
of Hercules. I mean, like most Greek and well, like most Greek epics are a way to explain something about the world. It was also a way to provide role models, heroes, people to live up to that society looked after. Additionally, the interesting thing about Labors of Hercules. Now I don't even know why we're talking about this. It was written in 600 BC, so 300 years before like Roman Empire kind of got off to the kickstart that it was, and Alexander the Great with 327 BC as well. Right?
so it's 300 years before Alexander the Great. So, and is that considered still Greek Republic? Greek, yeah, or were they still separate at that time? Everybody was just
They
kind
would
of
be
doing their own.
separate at the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Wow. All right. Well,
Labors
see
of
this.
Hercules in 8 minutes.
And that wasn't even in the script. I was like, just okay. So we were talking
It's
about
also
labor.
the title of this episode, but that's a different point entirely.
Well, see, I saw that when you put that. Okay, so those of you who have never done this podcasting thing, here's what happened. We should do a thing like a lottery. Like you can come, like Bufnagle fantasy camp. Fantasy camp. They can come live like us for a week. But if you do this, what happens is Zach sends out this little link, and the link has the name of the episode, and he always puts a name in there that has something to do with what we decided we might talk about. But we're never really sure for that one whether or not this. So this one we were just going to start talking about Labor Day and summer and stuff like that, and then he just said Labor of Hercules. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And because he's always talking about Hercules or Athena or Hercules. So. All right, so that's where we are with Labor Day. Labor Day, according to you guys who are listening to this on Tuesday or afterwards, was yesterday. And Labor Day marks the end of traditional summer. All right, at least here in the United States, it is the first Monday in September. And the start of traditional Labor Day is the last Monday in May. And I was thinking the other day, Zach, that I told you this, right? There are 7 different days that the last Monday of September or last Monday of May can fall on. So the start of summer could be one of those. And Memorial Day used to be on the 30th of May, but it was switched in 1971. They did a thing. Now it's the last Monday in May. And then Labor Day will fall on either the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, or 7th of September. And if you do that, every year, it's 98 days from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which means that there's 99 days if you count Memorial Day and Labor Day in summer. There's of summering, 99 days of summer, right? Except Zach, on the year when Memorial Day falls on the 25th of May, then Labor Day actually falls on the 7th of September, which means that year summer will be 106 days. So there are 6 opportunities for it to be 99 and 1 opportunity for it to be 106 6. So on average, it's 100, but it's never 100. It's either 99 or 106. And then the question becomes, how often does that happen? And there's like cycles of the years. And it's like, how often does that happen? Well, it's about 6 out of 7, give or take, but not exactly, because how leap years and cycles. But it's always either 99 or 106. And on average, it's 100 days. So you get 100 days of summer every year on average. And in 2020 was the last year that it was one of those long ones. It was 106 days. But we're now on Labor Day, and Labor Day is a holiday that celebrates labor, that celebrates working, which is kind of interesting. But yes, we celebrate working by not working. And Labor Day's been around since the late 1800s, and it's not May Day, which is kind of a workers of the world kind of day, but there were some things that used to be kind of bad with labor, like child labor was kind of a bad thing. I have this Twitter feed, Zach, and it sends me pictures from the past, and there was this picture of it was like the giant ice cream cone company back in 1902 or something like that, and it was this picture of these 4 guys it was 4 people in this room, and one guy had like a waffle iron machine that would like make like waffle cones, and there was another guy that was like fixing the machine, and then there were 2 little kids, like 10 and 12, that were working packing the box. They were packing ice cream cones without the ice cream in them, just the cones, into boxes to ship to places. And of course, on the floor of the factory, there were like broken ice cream cones everywhere. And I gotta imagine there were like rats and mice and like bugs and stuff in there and stuff. And the caption talked about the guy who owned the company. He said the kid showed up at the factory and wanted to work there. And he said, well, aren't you in school? And he says, no, I don't go to school. And he was like, well, okay, you can work here. So, I think we've come a long way. I think it's important for kids to go to school. I think it's important to get an education, and we shouldn't have child labor laws. We shouldn't have kids being work in coal mines or ice cream factories and those kinds of things. 8-hour work weeks, those are good things that people, 8-hour work weeks, that'd be nice. 8-hour work days. Okay. All right. But it's this idea of labor is pretty important. We have to have it. We have to make things. We have to earn money to do stuff. But there's this idea of labor has it's not always like management against labor. I just think that those guys if you work together, then really good things happen. And when you negotiate those things.
You brought this up, so I'm going to derail this conversation. Yeah, go. You said management versus labor. And the thing is, if you have a manager who's, let's imagine, who's telling you what to do, that's not very motivating. But if you have a manager who's pulling with you what to do, you're going to be like, okay, cool, this guy gets it, and this is someone I can follow. So now, because we got that all set up, I'm going to now derail this conversation from the labors of Hercules to talking about leadership.
All right, well, I'm going to go back one thing, okay? Never mind. Another thing they got was like no work on Sunday, right? So everybody gets off on the Sabbath because God rested on the 7th day, all right? And so that's a thing that everybody's, no work on Sunday, 40-hour work week, 8 days a week, or 8 hours a day, and good bosses, good management are good leaders. And Zach, what makes a good leader?
I mean, a good leader, like leadership, I think we've gotten confused, is leadership is an action. I believe I've said this on this podcast before.
Okay.
Leadership is an action. You have to show that I'm going to, I say X, Y, and Z, and then I do X, Y, and Z. You have to follow through that action. You got to, hey, if you're cleaning, I'm cleaning. I think the best example of this is shown in sports. And, the good leaders, good captains of teams, they're not the best players. They sometimes happen to be, but they're not the best players. They're the guys that show up day in, day out, work hard, and allow people to feel, accomplished through something. Leaders create other leaders. They empower other people. They make people feel part of, the greater sum of the parts. That's what leadership is. Leadership's this action forward and through to bring people onto the same page so that you can go further together than you can individually by yourself. The great leaders we talk about are the people that do that. But we've gotten so confused as a society of I'm a leader because of this title, position, or power. and then they don't actually do anything. They say, well, do this because I'm the boss. And well, that's not going to really make people motivated to work for you. You got to be like, hey, do this. I got you. What help do you need? Let's pull the same rope. Let's go further together.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about leadership styles and things that you like to see in leaders. And my thought is, and I've had bosses like this, is the best bosses are the ones who have said, what do you need to get your work done? Let me get that for you, and let me clear the road for you so that you can get your work done. And you can talk about whether somebody, that it's very trendy today to not say, well, this person works for me. You don't say that. You say this person works with me. And, there are nuances to that kind of thing. But there are a lot of little discussions about what the leader does. And, the leader points the way and comes along with you. The leader is out front, clearing the way for you guys to be able to get your work done. There are some great catchphrases. I think one that really resonates with me is leaders eat last, right? So that they are, and we've talked about servant leadership and how that resonates with people who are, if somebody controls part of your future, like most bosses do, you like to know that they are on your side. And it's really nice to know that they are servants. And that's a thing that is, I think leadership has gotten better. I'll say that over the last 30 years that I've been working, things are better than they were. It is amazing. Every now and then you find somebody who's in a position of power, a boss or a leader, capital L, right? You have, L on your forehead. You find some of them that you're like, I cannot believe they just did what they did. Right. Every now and then you'll find somebody who has never listened to any sort of book on tape about leadership, never read a cat poster about leadership, never listened to this podcast about leadership. But I think for the most part, the people who are leading these days are generally pretty good at it, right? Because there's been a much more focus on it over the last, I'll say 30 years than there was before that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're more aware. I think people understand the impact that you can have on other people. I think like leadership is also like, it doesn't need a title to be a leader. Sometimes leadership is just doing the right thing for the right thing's sake. And, people aren't going to remember X person was my boss. They're going to say X person was my boss. They made me feel this way. That's somebody I want to work for. That's someone I want to work with. That's the type of person I want to be. That stuff matters. And I think especially as we've gotten into this digital age, this work from home, this very, social media focus, presence, things like that, we have lost that human connection of how we make people feel. So we need to understand that when we are in these positions, like, how do we make? Is there somebody who's like on that Zoom call that you're doing your work from home meeting with, and there may be a quieter, more reserved person? Do you make them speak? And maybe they feel uncomfortable by doing that, but they're not going to step up and tell you that because you're the boss, and it's just like that's even more uncomfortable. Or do you say, hey, you know what? They don't need to share today. They're here. They're at the space. They're showing up. That's what matters. We're happy they're here. People are going to remember how they made you feel rather than anything else you did, and that's such an important thing in leadership, or in just society construction as a whole.
So what do you think about this work from home thing? Now, I've worked at home now for I guess it's been over 4 years, but I worked 24, 25, 26 years in an office. And at one office I had a thing where I worked I had at home Tuesdays where I did a thing, and it was really nice because I was able to get lots of self stuff done, but I wasn't in the office. But now nobody is ever in the office. Well, there's two situations. One of them is nobody is ever in the office. The other one is most people are not in the office, but some people are. And then the third one is most people are in the office and some people aren't. Right? So there's a spectrum of that, of what proportion of people are in the office, somewhere between 0 and 100%. What do you think? Do you think that's successful? You have a job where you work remotely. You work for a company out of state. How does that? How do you see it? Would you rather be in an office?
No, because I don't want to make small talk with people at a water cooler. I mean, I don't, but like I enjoy like the Slack conversations I have with coworkers as we're working through projects. Like I can do that. That's a little easier for me. But I think one of the things I think this work from home has allowed is a little bit more work life balance. You can kind of prioritize your time. I think the idea of the traditional 40-hour, 8-hour workday thing is not really needed. If you can get your stuff done from 2 a.m. in the morning till 10 a.m. in the morning, and then you take a 4 hour nap and you don't have to miss any meetings, and you're able to provide the information to your coworkers and the teams that you work with or whatever it may be, go for it. No harm, no foul. That's kind of how I look at it. Maybe I'm weird, but I also think that if you're working from home and you're in your space, you have to be focused because you can't just do nothing all the time. So
You know, it,
you have to balance that. Like, there are days when instead of, taking like, we get a lunch break, obviously, but like I'll go work out instead because like that's better for me. Like, I'm going to need that. I'll stay a little bit later. Cool, whatever.
yeah, I think it surprised me because when I started working at home, my first office that I worked at home was in the Lego room. And I imagined that would be a, a, a nearly un, unstoppable temptation, right, for me, that I would be tempted to be in there. It was amazing to me how that was not a temptation. How work is work, and it's what you do. And I don't know if it's because I generally like what I do. Right? I mean, obviously there's certain things. There's stuff in every job that you have that you're going to not like, right? And there's stuff in every job that you're going to not like, that you are going to like, right? So hopefully the best jobs are the ones that have more stuff that you like to do and less stuff that you don't like to do. But it is it amazed me that I was able to keep working even in light of all the temptation around me. And I just wonder. I know I have people. I get emails at ungodly hours. People up working at strange hours of the day and night. And part of me says, "All right, well, you do you." On the other hand, I'm like, I wonder about work life balance, because I don't know if it is if it is that balance. It's when your work is right there at your house and you don't get the time to turn off as you drive, as you drive home or you drive to work or you take the train or you walk or whatever it is, that I wonder if that's if the work life balance, if you're not dedicated, can actually be corroded by the work at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need balance. Like, you can't do work and life at the same time. Like, you need to be able to focus directly on your work, get it done. I think the beauty of the work from home is like you can work on your project 2 hours and it's like, you know what? I need to take a walk. I need to get out. I need to like clear my space because like when I do that, I can come back into work and be more productive. We've talked about this with flow before, and I think it incorporates that idea. But when you're kind of just focused all in at work all the time and you can't really break, I think you lose your ability to be productive and inspirational and creative. And I think that's where like work is its best, is when you can do those type of things. But you need the balance. You don't want to bleed those things over into each other. You'll be able to separate them, focus on like the stuff that matters, like give yourself transitional periods to be able to focus between work and life and everything else that may come up. It is a balance for a reason. So you got to figure out what works for you and what works for the people that you're working with, because you can't just be going like, I'm going to work 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then play video games till 2 a.m. in the morning, go to bed, and it's like that. Awesome. If that works for you and the team you're on, go for it. I'm not going to be mad, but like, remember, there's other people that you're working with who are, they have their own lives and stuff going on.
Well, that is the thing, and that's a thing that I think does not work as well. And I mentioned this before about having some people off in the office and some people not in the office. Is a job that I had some people that were in the office and I was not, and we would have video calls, and I would be me and one other person would be the only people not in the room. But it was a different vibe. All right, the in the room together vibe is different than the one over the computer screen, and it, it's it is a different thing. And I wonder how the world would be different if our little company were actually, if we were in the same, when we do this podcast, Zach, when we're in the same room, it's different than when we are in separate states like we are right now. And I don't know if it's, I think there are certain things that can work. I think if you're doing a lot of, um, how should I say it? If you're very disciplined and you're doing work that is highly, um, it, it, how should I say it? If you're doing more thought kinds of things than tactile things,
Yeah.
obviously you can work a lot better remotely. But I do kind of feel for there are people.
There's the tactile element that's sometimes lost and isn't replaced in any suitable way with the work from home. And I think that that's the next challenge, as I believe work from home is more or less here to stay.
Prior to this COVID thing that happened in 2020, we would actually get together on a reasonably regular basis. Every couple, it seemed to me like it might have been 6 or more times a year we'd all get together, or like the team I was on would be together in the same room. And I think that's really valuable to help build that to build the camaraderie you get in an office setting. And even if you're remote, that's okay. But we had some people that are on the other side of the planet, and it's difficult to do some of that timing. So I don't know. I think it is here to stay, this work from home thing. I think in general, it's probably a good, but just like anything else, it can get off the rails. And if you're being asked to be on the whole time, I guess that requires a leader, Zach. I'm going to circle back to that. It requires a good leader to say, no, it's Labor Day weekend. You're shutting down at whatever 3 o'clock your time or 5 o'clock your time on Friday, whatever your hours are. And you know what? We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Enough of this constantly. Well, you're home and you're there, so maybe you can join a call Sunday afternoon.
If your boss keeps doing that, that's not somebody you want to follow. So it goes back to
Right.
the whole leadership thing, which means like we might have to get Hercules to go something with a lion.
Chop off some Hydra heads there on the way, and that would be that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a good reflection on Labor Day, working balance, all the things that come with that. We talk about the Greeks. I don't know. Do we
covered everything. We covered
randomly talk about the game? Is that the middle square? Zach brought up Greek mythology. Anyways, we'll figure out the Bufnagle bingo game later and get that out to you guys in an episode very soon. Until the next time, I want to go remind you to go seek the good, be the good, and spread the good. Enjoy the adventure of life.